So today I just want to make a video on this old Colman oil heater. These were used in like the 40s or 50s, and they just use heating oil. And typically they would have a carburetor on them. It's more of like a float bowl system that you could control how much oil went into the stove, and it also did not let the stove overflow. I am running this stove on waste oil. Actually, a slight mix of diesel, bit of diesel, mix it in with the oil, and that just helps the stove get hot enough to keep burning the oil. And I just have it on a gravity feed system down to this funnel in which I could see how fast my drip or flow is, and right into the back of the stove. So the orange line here is where the oil feeds into, and then coming out the back here is where I'm feeding air also into the back of the stove to increase the burn quality. What I'm using to supply air to the stove is this air mattress pump I bought at Walmart for like $24, and the only thing with that is when you plug them in, they run full pin. You do not need that much air. The reason I have it in a box here is just to sound dampen it, because it is annoying. So what I've done is I have this potentiometer hooked up. It's actually a dimmer switch, sorry. And I can run the pump on low voltage, and it'll just pump enough air into the stove to keep the burn quality good. And it's not super annoying to listen to. So step one, before lighting this stove, you want to shine a light in and see all that ash build up down there. You want to make sure it's not blocking the hole where the oil flows into your burn pan. So we're going to vacuum out all that ash, and then we'll get to lighting this stove. So first you got to turn on the oil and get it flowing until you see it flowing into your burn pan. Next, you light up some oily rags down there, and we'll shut the door, and we'll adjust our flow to give it enough. You know, when it's cold, it'll want more oil than it will when it's warm, obviously. So now it's just barely lit. You can barely see flame. And what I do is I just pour a little bit of pure diesel down, and I just kind of keep doing that. And as you can see, it'll flare up a bit, and it just helps to get the stove hot quicker. All right, so now that it's lit, I've got my fan going just on low. We don't want to blow too much air and snuff it out. So as you can see, I got the dimmer switch set on low, and we got a little more flame now. Now I'm going to add some straight diesel in, not too much at a time, but enough that we'll see the stove flare up, and it just helps it get hot quicker. Alright, so it's now burning kind of nicely. It's sitting around 400 degrees. I've had it up to 500, 600, but you know, it's been about 20 minutes and the stove's warmed up. You know, that's about the feed we got going on. And so I'm gonna let the shop warm up, and I'll just let this burn along, and I'll go in and have some lunch. So here we are outside, and as you can see, there's almost no smoke coming out of the chimney. Once you have it burning hot and you have the air mixture right with your fuel, it burns pretty clean. I mean, you won't be bothering any neighbors with that. All right, so she's been burning a little while. You can see we're at 550 degrees. Can really feel the heat coming off it. So a couple of things with removing the carburetor, you do run the risk of overflowing it if ever you had that left on with too much oil flowing. Or one other thing is sometimes I did overflow this stove at first because I didn't realize that there was enough carbon ash built up on the bottom that the vacuum wasn't vacuuming it out. I had to break it up and then pull it out. So that was really reducing the capacity of the burn pan inside and causing the stove to easily overflow. So those are some things you'll want to check. But typically, once you learn it, once you know the stove, I mean, you can just kind of let her burn away like that, nice and happy.